Hi everyone, I'm Michael Bruce, CMO at Agent Moves, and welcome to our Good to Great series. We're all about sharing the amazing stories of top realtors and how they got there so we can help make more realtors great. So let's jump in with our guest today. I'd like you to meet Barry Pritchard. We're trying to do some unique things about each agent that we do speak with, and something I think really unique about Barry is he was a youth minister for I don't know, 20 plus some odd years, and also ran an appraisal business for 30 years before getting involved in real estate. But, let's talk about the youth ministry for sure and how you got started there. And then we'll talk about kind of the transition into real estate.
Okay. Yeah. So, I was one of these guys I knew when I was in high school that God was calling me into youth ministry. And, of course, like most teenage boys do, I ran from it and decided to do a lot of other things that I shouldn't be doing, for a few years. And, finally ended up, I met a good Christian woman. We started dating. We got married, got back real involved in church. And, after we got married and started having our girls, felt God calling me back into the ministry. So I surrendered. And when I was 34, well, actually 33, I surrendered to the ministry. Didn't know what God had planned for me. Ended up youth pastoring at 2 or 3 different churches, and just ran with that. I still enjoy it. I go out and do a lot of preaching now on Sundays. Do a lot of different events and things, and sometimes I do youth camps. Thoroughly enjoy doing all of it. And so yeah, that's just one of the things that makes my life fun.
That's beautiful. And then how did you get involved in the appraisal business?
So when I graduated high school, I started working at Liberty Bank and Trust in Mayfield, and I was working in the mail room, and I just kept, they kept telling me, you don't have to wear a sport jacket and all to work every day just to run mail around. And I thought, well, I'm in a bank, I'm in this setting, so I wanted to dress different, which kind of worked out good for me because they saw my initiative. It helped me work up into working in commercial loans. Within about 3 or 4 years, I was handling car floor plans for some of the car lots around the area, and then got into doing some car repos and things like that. Doing some things like that made my job interesting. And I did that for a while, and Liberty sold out to People's First. And when they did that, my job was being outsourced. And our senior vice president had been an appraiser before, and he wanted to start an appraisal department for the bank. And I had been to computer school for 2 years. And so he asked me to come with him to do the computer work. And I told him, as long as you'll teach me how to do appraisal work, I'd love to do that. So we started working together and opened the appraisal department for the bank in 1995. And we went through from People's First to Union Planners to Regions. And 6 months into Regions, we quit and opened our own business. And he retired after 2 or 3 years. And I've been still doing appraisals today. I do
Wow.
appraisals every week, still along with real estate and all now.
Wow. Wow. Oh, wonderful. I love the story. So let's talk about real estate. So how does you get involved? How does it move from appraisals to real estate? Tell me a little bit about the journey.
It got to the point to where I was having quite a few phone calls from different people asking about appraisals, and then they said, "Well, I want to sell my house. Can you sell my house for me?" And I'd be like, "Well, no, I'm just an appraiser. I'm not a realtor. I can't do that." And we were sitting at supper one night, and I had like 2 or 3 calls within a week's time. And my wife finally looked at me and she goes, "You realize you're missing out, don't you?" And it hit me. When she said it, it kind of hit me. And I thought, you know what, I am missing out. So I decided to sign up for the real estate classes, took those, took the test, and got my license. And very first day that my license come in, I went into the office with 3 listings and got them closed. I stayed with my first company about 3 months. Wonderful company, good people, love them to death. But I love technology, and I wanted to be into somewhere that was real technology based. In Keller Williams, I had met several of the Keller Williams agents before that. They had me going out measuring houses for them and giving them sketches of the houses. So I decided to make a phone call, and I've been with Keller Williams ever since. Love the technology. I think if somebody gave me the opportunity, if somebody came to me and said, "Hey, you've got a choice to make. You can either do appraisals or real estate," it wouldn't take about 0.2 seconds to realize I'd give up appraisals to keep real estate. I
Well, that's
thoroughly I
beautiful.
enjoy it.
Excellent, excellent. So yeah, so Are you dealing with, is it a mix of buyers and sellers, or more sellers, more
Well,
buyers?
my business, especially the first year, I didn't really realize. I guess I didn't realize what I was getting into. I remember when I came to Keller Williams that first January, I was in one of the meetings, and they're real big on setting goals. And we went around the room and was talking to a couple of my mentors, and they asked me, they said, "What's your goal for your first full year in real estate?" And I said, "Well, I really don't know." I said, "I would like to make, sell 10 to 12 houses, maybe make $20,000 to $25,000 extra money." And she busted out laughing, and she got right up in my face, and she said, "You have little faith." She goes, "You have no idea what you've stepped into with this business." And I didn't know what to expect. And so my first year I sold 29, made a lot more than $20,000 to $25,000, and just got hooked, building those relationships with the people that you work with, being able to continue to build on that relationship over the years. Many times I've had repeat clients from them. I had one of my clients that moved in here from out of state, and she ended up living with us for about 6 weeks until she could get into her house. To me, it's all about building relationships, helping people out, seeing the smiles on their faces when they go in the houses, and especially when you get to hand them the key and they walk in for the first time.
That's just great. Well, 29 houses your first year. That was something, right? It must have been a shock. I'm sure you were
Yeah.
bowing to your wife for showing you the
Yes.
way.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's great. So, tell us about the journey to today. So now it's 6, 7 years later. How's the market? How many homes are you selling now?
Oh, it jumped up my second year. I think it jumped up into the 30s. Fourth year, I hit, I think 59, which that was back 2 or 3 years ago when the interest rates were real low and housing market was crazy, which, we're in a small area. Mayfield, Kentucky is not a real big town. We've got Murray State and Murray, Kentucky, that's to the south of us, Paducah, that's to the north of us. So we're kind of in that little in-between area. 2021, of course, in December of 21 on the 10th is when one of the largest tornadoes this nation's ever seen came right through the middle of Mayfield and wiped out half of our town.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of worried me a little bit then about how the real estate industry would go after that, losing so many houses, so many buildings, and several lives. And so from that, just try to think of some different ways, how can I help people that lost their homes find new houses? What can we do? I took about 2 weeks off work and just went into town and worked, cleaning up yards, cutting trees, whatever needed to be done, just having conversations with people. And I began to be able to try to help them along the way, be able to find something different to replace their house. And, of course, with having some great mentors walking along with me that have helped guided me along the years. I've gone from, 20, 29, 30 houses a year, a couple of million. I capped in my first year with Keller Williams within 11 months. Come up to this year, I capped in 7 weeks. I closed out 2.2 million in 7 weeks. I'm going to finish the year with somewhere around 9 million in sales. It's been really good. I've been really excited about this year with the rates as high as they were. I never really expected to meet my goal, but I passed it, and just gets me more excited for 2025. Got a lot of new things that I'm going to implement into my business, my portfolio, my planning, to see if I can't do more next year.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So that is part of this, right? In this Good to Great series is, what are agents like you that are already successful? And that's what we're trying to do here is like take it to the next level every year, take it to the next level. So talk to me a little bit about what's new for you coming into 2025, some of your new plans, some new strategies. What are you going to do differently to try and, even get this to the next level?
Yeah. So my biggest thing is social media. I'm 53. And I dabble in social media. I say I'm not real familiar with it. Everybody keeps telling me, get on social media, make videos, make posts daily, do this and do this. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it for a little while. Business gets really good. I get really busy. And then the next thing you know, I've not posted in a month. So my 2025, I'm looking into, I'm going to do some video. I'm going to do like weekly videos. I've got a lot of different things that I'm planning on doing for social media posts and just giving some advice, doing some different things with social media is going to be one of my main things that I do for 2025 too. I think it's crucial that if you're going to be a good agent and you're going to be great at what you do, it's important that you stay in front of your area, your sphere of influence, your community. And so many people are on social media now. You got Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all these things, and I want to be present to them. I want them to think when they're scrolling through their social medias and they're thinking about real estate, I think I need to sell my house. Who do I need to use? Oh, wait a minute. Barry posts all the time. Let me call him. I want to be that one real estate agent that's present in front of each and every person that when they think about real estate, that my name's the first one that pops into.
Yeah. No, you're spot on. And what, the challenges that you are facing, right, are the ones that most agents are facing, right? Even when you get into it, you get busy, especially you're a good realtor. You already have a good database. You have a sphere of influence, right? You're in the community. Things start happening, and then you get away from that nurture of touching those touch points. And we know, I'll tell you, I'm doing this, I joined, about 6-7 months ago as, CMO of Agent Moves, and, met Stacy through a woman named Selena Isaac, who's the co-founder, a great marketer, and we ran digital agencies together. And it's the commitment. Agents aren't marketers as much as you try and you embrace these. It's the consistency then of sending out those messages, nurturing your database, right? Knowing when and what kind of messages. It takes strategy, it takes planning, and then it takes time, right? When you're doing it basically manually yourself.
Right. Yeah. And that's the hardest thing I think for me to do, is because I'm very busy. I'm very active. I'm an early riser, 4:30, 5 o'clock every morning. I go to the gym, get a workout in, come home, start my work day, and then sometimes I'll leave early every morning. It may not be till 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon before I get back home. So when I'm out working, social media posts and things like that's probably some of the last things that's on my mind. I'm more worried about what can I do to service my clients, to help them to make their life easier and do things for them. So and that's where I've got to get better at my social media platform, being able to do some advertising and things like that. I think that would help along the way and may keep me busier where I stay gone longer.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's that, and you'll see that, if you can be consistent in communicating with your database, right, that becomes, I think, the key, that we've been seeing with lots of agents, especially, again, 6, 7, 10 plus years, you have a great database, a sphere of influence, and now you have people that are selling, right, that you sold them to, and whether they're downsizing, looking for that next home, bigger home with their kids.
Yes.
You're connected now, but not staying connected. That's what we've seen, right? I think there's some crazy statistics in this industry, in the real estate industry. It's, somewhere in the 80% of people that are selling their home do not use the realtor that sold them their home because they forgot who they were.
Exactly. And that's one of the key things I think is important with our command platform. We set up smart plans, and I try to make sure that all of my clients that I've worked with, they get a monthly email from me. They get a quarterly phone call, or I may just stop, knock on their door, visit with them for a little bit. I try to keep in constant communication for them, because I want it to be that 2, 3, 4 years down the road when they decide, hey, I need to move, I need a bigger house, we've had more kids, I need to do this. I want to be the one that's there to be able to help them again.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about from the seller side and winning a seller listing. So you get the appointment, right? You get in the house. What do you do? What makes Barry stand out and make them choose you? Because that's another statistic that's incredible in this category. It's something like 80% of sellers only meet with one realtor and give them the business. So it's kind of like getting there first. And again, the other 20% are seeing a few. How does Barry stand out when you go into those listings?
So pretty much ever since I've been in real estate, somewhere between 80 to 90% of my business has been listings. One of the things that I think helps me with that is because I came up with this plan when I first got into real estate and started getting calls from people about, hey, can you sell my house? Yeah, I think the first thing I need to do is do an appraisal on it, so that way we will know what the market value is, and then we can price accordingly to that. And I always tell them, listen, if you're going to work with me and ask me to list your house and sell your house, I'm going to give you a full appraisal on it at no cost. So with my appraisal background, then I give them a full written report up front that we sit down beforehand, and we go over the market data, we go over the numbers, and then we price according to that. And I think that helps a lot of my clients. They're like, I tell them, hey, I'll give you a free appraisal if you list your house with me. And they're like, oh yeah, that's a no brainer. I want you to do that. So that way we know that whatever the market shows my house is worth is what we're going to try to sell it for. And that's the number we're going to go to. So I think that kind of helps me quite a bit in my business. It seems to have helped me because I've picked up a lot of business from that, just being able to have that appraisal background and that knowledge of that helps. And I've had clients before tell me it makes them feel a lot more comfortable knowing that their house is priced correctly because of my appraisal background.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah,
think
I can see.
yeah, I think it's important to know that. And I do teach classes to, usually about 2 or 3 times a year. I'll teach classes on how to value a home, to a lot of our agents that want to come to them. I try to go through the whole appraisal background, the whole comp search, everything that I do on an appraisal. So that way they'll know better how to do their comp search and be able to price their homes great.
Well, fabulous. Yeah, I can absolutely see how that is a value and benefit, that you come from so many years of this, the trust factor as you start talking to a seller, knowing all the ins and outs of someone else blindly coming and hiring an appraisal company. So yeah, it has to be a benefit.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I mean,
excellent.
it brings a different level of little bit more scope of knowledge into it that just makes I think it makes the seller feel a little more comfortable about it. And even when I'm working with buyers, and I don't work with a whole lot of buyers, but I still love to work with buyers. Even with them, I've called them before. They're like, well, you're an appraiser. What do you think it's worth? What do you think I need to offer? So there's times that they ask me to go back and run comps and kind of tell me what you think this house would appraise for before we ever even make an offer. So, I mean, it kind of gives me a little leg up on certain things. I think it helps my clients more than anything.
Okay, excellent. All right, so to close out, give us, and I'm sure there are some nuggets that, agents are going to take away from this conversation alone, but if you had to give us 1 or 2 good tips, again, this good agent making that next move to become a great agent, what are you going to say?
I would have to say be in front of your clients. Do whatever you have to do to stay in contact with them. Be the first name when they hear, think, or even hear anyone mention real estate. Do what you have to do to be the very first name that pops into their mind, so that way they know they can trust you. Of course, I'm big on doing things ethically, doing them the right way. I want whoever works with me to finish up and come to the closing and 3 months later still think, wow, that was an amazing experience. And then I'm going to knock on their door. I'm going to send them a note. I'm going to send them something at Christmas. Just make sure that you are in their mind constantly, and that they know and feel that they can trust you no matter what. And I think that will get you repeat business. It's all about the relationship.
Great advice, 100%. I know on one side, it's the biggest challenge we face, agents facing the market, right? Because of the time, the constant of needing that next listing, right? That next sale, and yet nurturing a big database that's constantly growing through community outreach, through everything that you're doing. So I think that's fabulous advice. So, hey, Barry, thank you so much for today. For those watching, please hit the like button if there's something good here for you. I hope you got a good nugget of information from Barry. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And again, Barry, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing some of your wisdom.
Hey, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on here just to share a little bit about what makes this industry one of the greatest industries to be in.
All right. Thanks again, Barry.
Thank you, bud.